Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th. Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow in the studio. Thanks for joining us. Let me remind you that today here at Capital OTB, King of the Hill contest here at the Clubhouse Racebook. If you'd like to come down, you can watch all the racing on our sports screens at the end of the room. You can watch all the sports as well. Grab a little lunch at Black Bear. Have some fun here at the Clubhouse Racebook with the King of the Hill contest. Last week we had a winner, walked away with $400, and you get a chance to walk away with a little something again today as we reset, but it'll be this afternoon. Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Keep that in mind for this afternoon. Also keep in mind, I mentioned it yesterday, and daylight savings, so hopefully everybody's tuned in. Daylight savings kicked in last night. And for the rest of the month of March, Aqueduct first post will be 110. That's 110 today as well. But March in New York, 3 days a week racing, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It'll kick off every day at 110. There'll be 8 races Friday, 10 races Saturday, 9 races Sunday. But keep in mind, there is the 110 post time in New York. All right, let's jump in. Nice stakes section yesterday. I don't think it was quite as potent yesterday as it was last week, but there was some nice performances and maybe a higher highlight with the horse of the year from last year, starting her 4-year-old season. That was down at Oaklawn yesterday in the Azeri. And, admittedly, I don't know if it was a super strong field in there. We also had a late scratch. One of the horses really acted up in the gate. So you wound up with a field of 5. We had talked to Brad Cox yesterday about Alpine Princess. She had certainly shown some ability last year as a 3-year-old. 10 starts, 4 wins, a couple seconds, couple thirds. Free Like a Bird, well over $2 million in the bank. And Free Like a Bird's the number 6 horse and does give Torpedo Anna, the 1, a little tussle. But as you can see here, as they reach about the 8th ball, things start to change, and Torpedo Anna pulls away pretty convincingly. Chart margin is going to be about 3.5. Ken McPeak said he thought in the middle of the stretch she looked like maybe she needed to start, was just a little bit tired, but then she pulled away again. And he said, that's Torpedo Anna. She winds up with a 95 buyer figure, which is a nice number. Doesn't jump off the page necessarily, but in her career, that's right in the ballpark. She has a couple of triple-digit buyers. The Travers, that 111, where she gave Fierceness all he could ask for, and a 100 in the Breeders' Cup Distaff last fall. But other than that, mid to high 90s. So kicking off the season with a 95, again, against a field, how fast is she going to go? She did what she had to do and did it nicely to kick off the season. Ken McPeak said after the race, and she had been working at Fairgrounds. Ken's kind of based down at Fairgrounds in the winter. I think I read on Twitter he had bought a place down there, and he's put out pictures on Twitter all season long, taking advantage of Mardi Gras, and he was out and about when they had the snowstorm down at the Fairgrounds. So that's his winter base. She's been down there. He, again, has been, she's been out on the track, and he's allowed folks to kind of see her in the morning and whatnot, including a couple of days ago at Oaklawn. But he said after the race, either today or tomorrow, she heads back to the Fairgrounds. So she'll continue training there. He said through the month of March, maybe early April, he will head back up to Oaklawn, likely. I mean, it sounded, he may have even said 90% Apple Blossom next. Grade 1 Apple Blossom is April 12th at Oaklawn. He said that's probably the next logical start. So she got the season off to a winning debut, seasonal debut as a 4-year-old, and it's going to be interesting to see how he plots out, the course for her this year. Will they try the boys again, or where will they pick their spots? We will, I'm sure, see her in some fashion up at Saratoga. It was such a fun season with her last year, with Ken again announcing on social media, hey, tomorrow she's going to be on the track at such and such a time over on the Oklahoma track. And certainly the fans got well exposed to her up at Saratoga. And I would think there'll be more of that this year. So, again, it was a nice way to start the season down at Oak Lawn with Torpedo Anna taking the Azeri yesterday. All right, we'll take a quick break. I'm about to sneeze, so the timing is perfect. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and put the break in here, because when we come back, we'll take a look at those Tampa Stakes, because there's Tampa Bay Derby, nice undercard of stakes as well. And there were some horses that'll come out of yesterday at Tampa that are worth watching moving along this year. So we are underway here Sunday morning, racing across America. Again, Seth Merrow in the studio. Thanks for joining us. Back in a couple.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. Yeah, it was a big day at Tampa yesterday, and I didn't call for the replay, but I did want to mention one other race outside of the stakes at Tampa yesterday. In the 6th race, it was a maiden special event, and I said, these big days for the big 3-year-old races along the Derby Trail, it's become traditional. There are some potent maiden races or non-winners are won, and this 6th produced a winner yesterday at Tampa that will be worth watching going forward. I said after the race, I kind of kicked myself. Accelerized, first-time starter from Pletcher, Rapoli, Spendthrift. Well, I say Pletcher. It was Pletcher's assistant was listed because Todd is serving a 7-day suspension. And Mike Rapoli tweeted out yesterday referencing Accelerise in the 6th at Tampa that and it was a picture of the TV with the St. John's game on, and Mike Rapoli and Todd Pletcher sitting on the couch, and he said, great day. If you didn't see St. John's, who Mike Rapoli, a big supporter and alumnus of St. John's, it was a buzzer beater win for them yesterday. A great season under Coach Rick Pitino. But he said it was a great day. St. John's with the victory and Accelerise with the win. And I was joined by a friend of mine watching, and it was Todd Pletcher. Again, with the suspension, he can go watch some TV on a day like that. But I am sure they watched and enjoyed the 6th from Tampa. Was Accelerise, first-time starter by Omaha Beach. So a little win early breeding. Really impressive victory. The chart margin just under 8 lengths, but at 7 furlongs down at Tampa, 91 buyer, Irod Ortiz on board. So Accelerise will be one to keep our eyes on from Pletcher and Rapoli. As I say, yesterday was going out under the name of a Pletcher assistant, but looked pretty good in that maiden race. And again, I kicked myself afterwards. I was a little concerned leaving from the 12 post, but it's a 7 furlong race. You have the whole backstretch. to get position, and Irad got it almost immediately and then just kind of ran away and hit from the sponge. So, again, nice debut in the 6th yesterday at Tampa for Accelerize, one to keep our eyes on. But the big race yesterday, the Tampa Bay Derby, and I liked Owen Almighty, and so I was happy with the win. But I will say there was a lot of speculation before the race that there would be some speed, maybe a little duel. It would set things up for the closers. That's not how it worked out. Owen Almighty got to the lead from the 1 hole pretty quickly and took them all the way around in just reasonable fractions, 23 and change, 48 and change, 112 and change, 136 and change, and then just, again, ran away in the stretch with those kind of fractions. Chancellor McPatrick runs 2nd, Hill Road 3rd. Those were both closers from Chad Brown. So to run 2nd and 3rd was pretty good, actually. Chancellor McPatrick and Hill Road both adding blinkers, and Chad came out of the race saying happy with the performances. Flavien Prat said the blinkers were probably a bonus for Chancellor McPatrick. But again, seasonal debut for Chancellor McPatrick. Hill Road was a European runner last year, now over here in Chad's barn. So again, 2nd and 3rd, given the scenario, the pace scenario was all right for them. Chad Brown, again, was satisfied with the performances, and he said that duo, Chancellor McPatrick and Hill Road, one will go to the wood, one will go to the bluegrass, who goes where to be determined. But the winner, as you saw there, pretty convincingly, Owen Almighty. There was some speculation on Twitter about alleged collusion going into the first turn, maybe with the Ortiz brothers. That's a pretty big allege being made there. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go back and watch it a few more times. That the thought being Jose on his horse gave a little made Patch Adams work a little harder, pushing that one out a little bit or making that one be wide. Having broken from the 7 post position and just didn't get hustled up, I'm not sure about that. But again, it was the Twitter is what Twitter is. So take that for what it's worth and what it's worth. And but Owen Almighty, regardless, gets to that easy lead, goes all the way around. 92 buyer figure, which is a lifetime best for Owen Almighty. The prior best was in that Pasco where this one was DQ'd. And kind of a funny career. Going into yesterday, 5 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds. Won the debut effort, won the second start, which was a stakes race, finished 2nd in a Churchill stakes race in September, then won the Pasco, came under the wire first in the Pasco, but was disqualified to 5th. So that's the only off-the-board finish, an actual under the finish line first. Followed that up last time, stretching out for the first time in the Sam Davis, and just missed behind John Hancock. We heard, Brad Cox talk about that one a little bit yesterday and future plans for John Hancock. But a close-up second to a good one. And then again, yesterday with the pace kind of playing out, the pace scenario playing out in his favor, takes them all the way around. But again, that buyer jumps up nicely. Now, it was interesting. Before the race, there was an article from Dave Grenny, and he talked to trainer Brian Lynch. And Brian Lynch said, we're using this as the stepping stone to get ourselves to the Pat Day Mile. And he said the timing's very good. We'll get about 8 weeks. And if we went in a race at Keeneland, we'd only get maybe 4 weeks. And I said yesterday, that's the state of racing now. You want 2 months in between. It's kind of like, oh, boy. But that was the game plan. Head to the Pat Day Mile. Subsequently, they win pretty easily the Tampa Bay Derby with a nice number or a lifetime best number. And some of the connections of the horse were kind of speculating, oh, this is going to be a tough decision now. Kentucky Derby, or where do we go? Because they clearly at this point, they have enough points to get into the Kentucky Derby. So it will be interesting to see how it plays out, because the follow-up yesterday from Dave Krennig was he talked to Brian Lynch again after the race, and Brian Lynch said, I still want to go to the Pate Mile, but we'll have to talk to the owners and see what the discussion is like. So, again, the siren call of the Triple Crown races is awfully strong at this time of year. And you have a good 3-year-old, and the Derby is sitting out there now. He's not going to get this kind of a trip in the Derby. So we'll see how it all shakes out. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because clearly the trainer is thinking one thing. And I don't know at this point, it was a representative for the ownership group was kind of like, we'll have to see. And so I don't really know where the ownership group actually stands. And I would think we would find out over the next few days how it may play out here, Pate Mile or Kentucky Derby. But regardless, it was a win in the Tampa Bay Derby yesterday for Owen Almighty. Again, Irad Ortiz on board, Brian Lynch trains. And that lifetime best 92 buyer figure. Also on the card yesterday at Tampa, it was the Florida Oaks. I like Nitrogen. I've talked about this one a bunch. Used them up in Canada last fall when we were up there for the Woodbine Mile in the Talma at 41-1. I thought, I've got this late in the race, and then he gets caught third. Another 40-1 price, running third in the Breeders' Cup, a juvenile filly turf. Then wins the Ginger Brew at Gulfstream in January at 9-5. And look at this closing effort, the number 9 horse here. Nitrogen just gets up late to catch Lush Lips, who was a logical player also yesterday. Nitrogen went off at 3-2. Jose Ortiz on board. Lush Lips with Tyler Gaffleone, 5-1, runs second. De Lorraine at a price, 18-1, runs third. It was an 86 buyer for Nitrogen, so a lifetime best buyer for her. Mark Cassidy, I think, has a very nice one for the 3-year-old filly turf scene this year. She is now 5 starts, a couple of wins, a second, and 2 thirds. But right there throughout the career, and those 2 big prices up at Woodbine and then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile were a little disappointing. But she's now 2 for 2 as a 3-year-old with the stakes win at Gulfstream early in January. And then that was a nice closing kick yesterday. The chart margin wound up to be half a length. Managed to get it done in a stakes record time performance, 140.42 for the 1 16th mile trip. So nice performance yesterday in the Florida Oaks for trainer Mark Cassidy, who again continues to have a really solid kind of winter season at the various venues he's playing at, as it were. Also, again, a nice stakes day yesterday that included the Hillsborough for fillies and mares going 9 furlongs on the turf. Another one where managed to land on the right one yesterday at Tampa. I like Saffron Moon. I said, as we saw up at Saratoga, you can play around with the longer prices when Chad has 2 or 3 in a race. So Spaladay was interesting. Venecia as other Chad runners. And Gimme Another was very interesting for Graham Motion as an undefeated horse who had run the first 7 starts of the career, all wins in South Africa, including some Group 1s over there. So Gimme Another was going to be very interesting. Hadn't been seen since last April. But we'll see here. Gimme Another looked okay. Gimme Another is going to be the number 7 here under Irad Ortiz. But the number 8 is Saffron Moon under Flavian Prat. Saffron Moon will get it done here and kind of powers away in the stretch, but it's only 3/4 of a length over a closing Gimme Another. Again, I don't think you ever thought Gimme Another was going to get there, but still ran pretty well as the undefeated South African coming back in 11 months and making the first United States start. So give me another. It's going to be fun to watch going forward. But Saffron Moon, the follow-up article, I think it was Grenning in the Racing Forum, was talking with Chad about this one. A 6-year-old mare with only 10 starts going into yesterday. And Chad said, that we weren't picking our spots. This horse had just had enough little dings that there were some stops and starts that kept us from, having more of a campaign. But she has now put a couple of races together. She won a stake, the Endeavor, on February 1st at Tampa, won that pretty nicely, and then followed up with that good-looking win yesterday. So Chad has this one now maybe in line for more of a traditional season where she'll put together a number of starts going throughout. And again, another one of those, it's a Chad horse. We'll see that one up at Saratoga, certainly. Give me another wound up running second in there again. And Venencia, one of the other Chad runners, runs third at 8-1. Buyer number was a 93. Just looking, that ties the lifetime best for Saffron Moon. And it was notable in the follow-up article. This was the 7th win in this race for Chad Brown. So 7th win in the Hillsborough for trainer Chad Brown. Not a bad record down there at Tampa in that particular race. And it just, regardless of when Chad brings horses over to Tampa, you have to pay attention, certainly. All right, also in the mix on Saturday down at Tampa was the Columbia. This one for the 3-year-olds on the turf. Again, that subdivision I like quite a bit. I like Dream On from Mark Casse. Coming out of a win and optional claimer over at Gulfstream. But I had a nice little 2-year-old season that looked like something to build on, and off the win to start the 3-year-old season. Dream On was interesting to me. Went off as the second choice at 2-1. Zulu Kingdom I had right underneath. Zulu Kingdom, betting public made that one the 8-5 favorite. Flavian Prat on board for Chad Brown. And it will be Zulu Kingdom in a ding-dong finish with Reagan's Wit. Horse I had in the third spot. You'll see it's a West Point runner. You can see the West Point Silks there for the number 4, who is chasing down Zulu Kingdom and just can't quite get there. What you won't see is number 9, Dream On. Shoot, that one threw in kind of a dud, running 5th in the field of 7. But nice, as I say, close-up finish. Both of these are worth watching going forward. Zulu Kingdom with the nice win in career start number 5, career win number 4 for Chad Brown. This was the 3-year-old seasonal debut, but I also think Reagan's Wit worth watching going forward for our friends at West Point and Company, David and Gordo, trained by Cherie DeVoe. This one, it was only the 3rd start, and it was after a maiden breaker at Fairgrounds to start the season. This one started the career in last August, and again, I'm talking Reagan's Wit at Ellis. Ran a pretty good second, and then laid off. And one of those that I always say, lightly raced 2-year-old, you come back with some experience, and you can come back and prove that was the case for Reagan's Wit, who broke the maiden in the January start, career start number 2. So steps into Stakes Company and runs a decent little second there yesterday. Reagan's Wit worth watching as well. So Zulu Kingdom, Reagan's Wit in that subdivision I like a lot. The 3-year-olds on the turf, certainly worth watching going forward. Dream On I was kind of in the mix and then faded. I have a feeling the horse is better than that. I want to see one more from Dream On before I make a judgment on that one in this particular division. And finally, at Tampa yesterday, we also had the Challenger, this one for 4-year-olds, and up the older division, which is shaping up to be very, very interesting this year. I had Brad Cox on yesterday, and I was kind of speculating. Most Wanted, maybe another one of those horses that Showed some talent last year as a 3-year-old, and that 3-year-old crop at the end of the year got very interesting. And now they're starting their 4-year-old seasons similarly, very interesting. And I think it's going to shape up to make a nice handicap division this year. So kind of speculating would Most Wanted add his name to that. And I think Most Wanted ran okay given the circumstances. There were enough scratches that it scratched down to a field of 4. And the 2 to watch were obviously Skippy Longstocking and Most Wanted. Most Wanted went out and kind of was forwardly placed. Most Wanted, the number 6 horse. Skippy Longstocking, the number 8. And you can see Most Wanted there was in the lead, but Skippy runs that one down in the stretch. The chart margin will be a length and a quarter. A solid 99 buyer for Skippy Longstocking, who is right in the wheelhouse. Skippy Longstocking typically high 90s, or there's a few triple-digit buyers in the mix as well for this one. Second start of the season for Skippy after having run 3rd in the Pegasus back in January. But more notably, this is the 3rd win for this horse in this race. Skippy Longstocking has won the Challenger at Tampa this year and the past 2 years as well. So has an affinity not just for the track, but for this race as well. Safi Joseph, the trainer, said after the race, likely headed to the Oaklawn Handicap on April 19th for that one. So, again, nice performance. But it was also a nice performance for Most Wanted because Skippy, winning the race, set a new track record. So it was a very good performance, obviously, for Skippy Longstocking. And a length and a quarter back was Most Wanted in the seasonal debut. Hadn't been seen since running a close-up second in the Clark last fall behind Rattle and Roll. So, and overall, Most Wanted is very lightly raced. This was only the 6th career start. So, again, another one of those where both of the top 2 finishers worth taking a gander at going forward. All right, we will take another break. When we come back, there are some stakes to take a look at Aqueduct Gulfstream and out at Santa Anita. So we'll continue racing across America on this Sunday morning. Again, in just a couple. We'll see you then.
Coming right back, the American, the European, and it is theatrical in front. Trempolino driving hard, pull out, is it trying to get him? And here is the winner, and theatrical has won it. Absolutely spectacular.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards Program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
And it's the filly Winning Colours. Gary Stevens going to the whip left-handed. Just one crack though. It's Winning Colours turning in an absolutely outstanding performance. We're looking at one exceptional filly.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back. Yeah, it was a big day, obviously, at Oaklawn with Torpedo Anna, but a big day at Tampa with the Tampa Bay Derby and the undercard of stakes. But there were other stakes around the country as well, including in New York, a couple of nice little New York bred races, the Mattie May and the Gander. And we'll start things off taking a look at the Mattie May. 3-year-old fillies, New York breds, going a mile. I took a little shot in here with a couple of horses that had not tried Stakes Company yet, but had shown enough promise that I thought there'll be players in here. Army Gal for Linda Rice was 2 for 2. Again, maiden special, optional claimer on the stake bred side of things. And Brad Cox had Lottie Margaret coming in off of 2 huge double-digit wins. They both look like they could step into this and be players. Lottie Margaret ran an okay second in here. Army Gal winds up a little bit disappointing, running fourth off the 2 for 2 record. But again, they were trying stakes company for the first time. It done. Bernie and the Rose coming in with 3 wins and 4 starts, including a win in the Eastview back in the early portion of February. Bernie and the Rose is the number 4 horse here. You will see pulls away, chart margin 3 1/4. Lottie Margaret, the number 7, gets up late by a neck to run second as the favorite. Again, the Brad Cox trainee. Running third is Howling Wind. And again, Army Gal way back there in fourth off the undefeated record. So we'll see what is up with her. Again, off the first 2 starts, I think she may be better than we saw with that 4th place finish. But it was an okay performance late for Lottie Margaret in the stakes debut. But again, it was a horse with stakes experience getting it done. Bernie and the Rose, now 2 for 2 in stakes company. Both of those starts were this year. So it was a nice little 3-year-old New York bred filly for Dominic Schettino. Katie Davis on board. And I saw Katie Davis tweeted it out last night. She, her sister, there was maybe some other people in there headed to Puerto Rico. I think it sounded like from the thread, some kind of jockey challenge maybe down there today. So rooting for the locals to do well, the New York locals, as it were. But Katie Davis gets it done nicely in the Mattie May yesterday on Bernie and the Rose. And as I say, with 4 wins in 5 career starts, including a couple of stakes, nice little New York bred 3-year-old filly. And we'll see. I always say it. If you have a nice New York bred, your options are plentiful. You can continue in the New York bred company, pick those nice little New York bred days and run there, or days like this with a stake or 2 for the New York breds, or step out and maybe try some open company. We will see how it works out for Bernie and the Rose. A little bit later on, it was the Gander for the 3-year-old males. National Identity coming out of a close-up second in the last 2 starts to Sand Devil and Sacrosanct, 2 really good New York breds, particularly Sand Devil coming out of the second, the big stake, open stake last week. So National Identity did go off as the 6-5 favorite, the number 5 horse. And Ding Dongs, it was Soon to Be King. Soon to Be King is the number 4 horse who is coming up on the inside. National Identity is actually ding-donging with Moplex, and both get run down by Soon to Be King on the inside. Eric Cancel kind of taking the inside lane there and persevering, and getting up late to get the victory. National Identity gets the best of Moplex for the place, however. And they went off, National Identity and Moplex, unsurprisingly, went off as the top 2 choices. National Identity at 6-5 and Moplex at 2-1, both having shown plenty of talent already, as had Soon to Be King, actually, being a stakes-placed runner himself. But he gets up late to take it as the other 2 kind of wear themselves out with a duel in the stretch. So it is Soon to Be King over National Identity over Moplex. Soon to Be King, a George Weaver trainee, Eric Cancel on board. Now the 3rd win in 11 career starts. They went with the purse. Yeah, they went well over $300,000 in earnings. So again, that was one of those where all 3 of these are 3-year-old New York breds to watch going forward. And again, good enough that they can bounce around and try open company. Moplex has running 3rd last year in the Champagne behind Chancellor McPatrick. So that it was a nice group yesterday in the top 3. Again, 3-year-old New York breds worth paying attention to as we move along. And as we move along here, we'll take a look at a couple of stakes yesterday from Gulfstream. We'll kick it off in the Silks Run. This is 4-year-olds and up going 5 on the grass. And the favorite here was Super Quest for Mark Cassie and Live Oak. I didn't use that one. Betting Public landed there at 9-5. I had Coppola on top, and that one scratched. And then I had Reef Runner in the second spot, and also used a little Biz Buzz. But another one I didn't use, the winner, Amon. Amon's the number 7 and makes a sweeping late run to get up and catch, again, my scratched into top pick of Reef Runner. But at 10-1, just at the wire. This is one of those where I watched live and I thought, I don't think I got it. And then I watched the replay. I thought maybe I did get it. And then the results came up. Nope, it was Amon getting it done at $22 and change. Joe Orsino and Edgar Zayas, career start number 39, career win number 8. So a talented performer. It just looked like off a layoff going back to last October and a couple of starts at the end of the season that weren't much. You were kind of throwing a dart if you went in that direction, but if you threw your dart, you got $22. And again, there was some back class there. There were some things you could have hung your hat on, but I thought there were horses with certainly a little more recent talent. And again, Reef Runner being one of those, but it was not to be. It's got snatched at the wire. So Amon, Reef Runner, and Biz Buzz, one of the other logicals, ran third in there. Also on the card yesterday, the Hurricane Birdie, Fillies and Mares going 6.5 on the main track. I liked Our Disaster in here, going to be the number 4 horse. I had Spirit Wind in my mix. And then in the third spot, number 1, Nick Style. Nick Style, Betting Public nailed it at 6-5. Nick Style does get it done with Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado. But it again, I had Our Disaster on top. Our Disaster is the number 4 horse. And it's one of those where, again, I just got it at the wire as Our Disaster. I thought, and then you could tell, not going to get it. As Nick Style does go by. Again, Betting Public got it right there at 6-5, but nice run from Our Disaster. And as the name would indicate, Our Disaster with the letter R there, a Rich Averill runner for Safi Joseph. But that one gets caught, and it is Nick Style, who, again, and the Betting Public, I had that one down the third spot. I just thought a couple were a little more interesting. But it was hard to make a knock against Nick Style. That was career win number 7. In career start number 8, the only loss is second place finish to Ways and Means in the Gallant Bloom last September. So this is a pretty talented runner for Bill Mott, no question about it, and continues to show that talent. And being a Bill Mott runner, we will likely see this one again. Saw it last summer up at Saratoga, so I think we'll see Nick Style again up at Saratoga this summer. And finally on the stakes scene, also wanted to take a look at the Beholder Mile out at Santa Anita, because we did talk to Brad Cox yesterday about Tarifa. I said when I was talking to him, it looks like Baffert has a couple of good runners in here. Cavalieri, undefeated, and Rishi, who is also coming in good form, had started the career in Chile, then came up and run well since arriving here. So Cavalieri and Ricci, Cavalieri, the 3-horse, Ricci, the 1-horse, they do run 1-2, but Cavalieri continues the undefeated streak, now 4 for 4. Tarifa, the number 5, winds up running third, well beaten third, but again, this was the seasonal debut. Gets some grade 1 stakes placing, black type in there for Tarifa. But Cavalieri is the one that is going to be intriguing out of this as a now 4-year-old filly with only 4 starts. 4th start, 4th win for Bob Baffert. We'll see where they go next with this one. But I would think, this is a very talented 4-year-old filly. So they can pick some nice spots around the country for Cavalieri going forward, or stick in California, because there'll be some options out there as well. But it'll be interesting to see where they do pick and choose to go, and whether we do get to see her over here on this side of the country, and particularly potentially up at Saratoga. There are some options there as well. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, maybe a little bit of handicapping. We'll do some news and notes before we wrap it up on this Sunday. Again, a little bit later on, I will be looking at some Aqueduct and some Gulfstream on OTB Live. So we're just kicking it off on this Sunday. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple for the wrap-up of Racing Across America.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
America. I'm just trying to pull up. Let's take a look at the late pick 4 at Aqueduct. So I was trying to pull up to see if scratches had been listed yet, so we can look at those as well. And there are some scratches listed. So we'll go over a late pick 4, just the sequence. I don't have a ticket to give out. Before we do that, though, I do want to alert you that there is a pick 6 carryover today. 27 in New York, $27,000 pick 6 carryover down at Aqueduct for today. Just looking at the sequence yesterday, wasn't crazy. The last race was what did it, obviously. Because I'm looking here. You have a $4 horse, $7 horse, $3 horse, $14 horse, $14 horse. But then you put in a couple of $14 horses with the $49 horse in the finale. I forgot about that. The Carlos Martin horse with Katie Davis on board. Royal Event was certainly one to throw a monkey wrench into a lot of people's picks, I'm sure. So again, pick 6 carryover. This afternoon at Aqueduct, $27,000. And I'm just looking, I have the recap that's sent out every day by Naira, which gives the standings. And Linda Rice continues to. I marveled at this a couple of weeks ago, but so far, down at Aqueduct, the trainer standings, Linda Rice, 40 wins, sitting in second, Rick Dutrow, 14. 40-14. Brad Cox, 11. Rudy Rodriguez, 10. Couple tied at 9. Rob Atris and George Weaver. Cantermachi, Ilkay Cantermachi, 8. And then 3 tied at 7. Michelle Nevin, Horacio De Paz, and Todd Pletcher. But with 40, Linda Rice, 26 ahead of the second place finisher. All right, as I say, we'll jump in here and just give some thoughts on that late pick 4 at Aqueduct, which obviously is part of the pick 6 sequence. So maybe if you're going to chase that carryover, maybe this will play into that as well, or could play into that. No scratches listed at this point in race number 6 at Aqueduct this afternoon. Conditional claimers going 7, 4, 2, the 1 entry, and 3 for me. She's Cool goes out for Wayne Potts. Manny Franco on board, replacing a 5-pound apprentice last time, who put in a decent effort, but did it at the 25 level. 2 starts back at this 40 level, ran okay. We're on a series of improving buyers. I think this one just might be primed for a good effort today. 7-2 on the morning line. You might find a touch of value. She's Cool. Second spot, Biera. Rob Atras runner, who also has been down at the 25 level most recently, but has been very competitive, has faced better down the page a little bit. But I thought the last 2 races matched up with this bunch, so I don't think the move up is going to prove to be an obstacle. And the 1 entry, Scarborough Fair and Stress Reliever between the 2, probably off the latest, the Maiden Breaker, Scarborough Fair is a little more intriguing. Overall has tossed in numbers that, for the most part, match up with this bunch, except the race 2 back. Now, the first 2 races of the career were on the turf, and they were in the Chad Brown barn. This one was subsequently sold at a Keeneland sale for $32,000, and probably, given the price they paid at the sale, and the Maiden Breaker at 40, they're still right in the comfort zone today. So in the 6th at Aqueduct, 4-2, the 1 entry, and 3. Race number 7 at Aqueduct this afternoon, Maiden 20 claimers going 6.5. And we do, my top pick is out here, the number 6, Global Charmer. I had that one on top for Linda Rice. Global Charmer, the 6, is out, the lone scratch in the race. So I'm now 2, 5, and 3. Melanci up on top, Rob Atras trainee. Has some positional early speed. Tends to fade, though, but this is not a strong bunch. This is a mediocre bunch. I'll be interested to see with Katerina Rostova what kind of reception this one gets from the betting public, because you look down, there are some numbers for that one that are clearly good enough and outclass these, but they were on turf. This one had 3 turf starts with pretty good numbers. Outside of the turf races, the numbers aren't as good. And David Aragona has reflected that with the 15-1 morning line. But I'm just wondering if people will look and see the better numbers and use a little bit of that 7. I didn't. I thought off the last number and a couple of the other numbers, the one that has a little bit of an edge is maybe the 2, Melancia. But Alan Hurst has some numbers that fit with this bunch as well. Blinkers go on today. That could be interesting for Gregory Sacco. There was an article, and again, I think it was a Dave Grenig article. Typically, he's the New York guy. That Greg Sacco is essentially going to go full-time in New York. He was more of a New Jersey guy. He has been racing horses in New York and up at Saratoga, but he's more full-time in New York and having a pretty good season down at Aqueduct as well. So that makes Alan Hurst dangerous. Jim Ryerson has just words off of an improved effort last time, although the number was still a little light as compared to the top 2. In the 7th at Aqueduct, 2, 5, and 3. 8th race, we lose the entry. I had those 2 at the bottom of my mix, the 1 and the 1A, Bouncer and Murray. So again, I had those down in the 4 slot, so things don't change. Up top, 9, 4, and 5. Kind of an interesting bunch in here. Reason analysis. It's Chad and Klarovich. Hasn't been seen since running 4th behind Bookham Dano and the Woody Stevens last June at Saratoga. But again, it's Chad and Klarovich, talented runner, had won the Bayshore just before that, trying the Woody Stevens. So had shown some talent early in the career in a limited number of starts. This is now a 4-year-old with only 5 starts. Chad tends to have them ready off of layoffs, so I went in that direction. But our friend Lee Einseidler has High Oak, who you may remember this one has shown some talent throughout the career. But this one hasn't been seen since January of last year. So it's been off over a year. Bill Mott trainee comes back now as a 6-year-old. I'm interested to see what this one does and come back, because, again, there's back class here as well. And just beat the odds off since April of last year. So comes back first time gelding symbol. Again, the aforementioned Greg Sacco, another one that has shown plenty of talent, 8 exacta finishes in 10 starts. But all three of these have the layoff kind of working against them. And do you go with one that has a little more recency? And Stolen Base is interesting, but that one hasn't been seen since May of last year. 24 Mamba. This one, again, has the recency. Numbers are kind of flirting with numbers, the top picks, but not quite. So this one's a puzzle. He's my honey badger, a Brad Cox trainee with a little more recency, albeit one start in February since last August, and it wasn't much. So this is a puzzle, certainly. But for me, in the 8th at Aqueduct, I'll go 9, 4, and 5. And finally, in the 9th at Aqueduct, 9th and final today. And again, with daylight savings, this one will go off at 5:22. We lose the 1, that's Money. We lose the 2, Supreme Song. And we lose the 9, Amadeus Music. I had the 9 in my mix, but underneath a little bit. So I don't lose my top selection, Montebello. 8, 7, and 6 for me in the 9th at Aqueduct. Montebello comes in off a nice win last time, claimed out of that, and moves up slightly. I mean, the last one was a conditional. This is more of an open, state bred open, but doesn't have the condition. But I think class-wise is right in the ballpark off that nice win last time. So we'll see if this one can go back-to-back. Second spot, Jackson Heights. Gets a class dip that I think could be beneficial. Trained by Rob Atras, same trainer as the top pick. So, again, becomes potentially the longer half of an uncoupled entry. And Brew Pub in the 3rd spot. Another one coming off of a claim and a good effort, just behind the top pick, who was claimed last time out of the win. This one was claimed out of the 2nd place finish, so they both look logical. 9th and final at Aqueduct, 8, 7, and 6. All right. That gives you an idea late, again, not an actual ticket, but the late pick 4, some ideas. And that late pick 4, again, obviously part of that pick 6 carryover of $27,000 this afternoon down at Aqueduct. And again, I'll be back in a bit for a look throughout the afternoon at both Aqueduct and Gulfstream on OTB Live. So stay tuned for that as the morning progresses into afternoon. Again, we appreciate your tuning in this morning. And I will remind you once again that there is a King of the Hill contest here today at the Clubhouse Racebook. Always a lot of fun. Maybe you win a little extra something if you stop down this afternoon and join us for King of the Hill. And I'll also give you a little update on what's coming up in the week ahead so you can mark your calendar. Coming up on Wednesday, excuse me, we will have the return of the Turfway Bounty Bet. And again, that's alternating Wednesdays. But as you can see, $400 will be up for grabs. It's the early pick 5 at Turfway. Play it with your Capital OTB bet account, and you get a shot at that bounty. That's coming up on Wednesday. Friday, it's another happy hour bankroll here at the Clubhouse Racebook. And we got everybody a little chunk of change on Friday. A couple of weeks ago, we'll try to do it again. Stop down, you put your name in the hat on Friday afternoon. We randomly select a team, and I play during the afternoon. As I say, the last one a couple of weeks ago, we scored a little bit for the team. We'll see if we can do that again this coming Friday. And a week from yesterday, this coming Saturday, going to be a fan appreciation day at the Broadway Lanes Easy Bet. So keep that in mind as well. All right, that's coming up. You can always keep up with promos and events via capitalotb.com. So keep that in mind as well. Check it out. And again, some of these promos and events, you get a chance to win a little extra something. So check that out and participate. All right, Seth Merrow in here on a Sunday morning. Happy to have you have joined us. We really appreciate it. And again, we'll be back shortly, well, an hour and a half or so for OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. See you then. We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.